Shawn Porter versus Kell Brook. I think Shawn Porter is the slightly sharper, more versatile fighter. I think he has quicker feet than Kell Brook, and he has more variety to his punches and to the way he can box and the way he can attack. The weakness for Shawn Porter in this fight is his lack of height, because he's going up against a guy in Kell Brook who's taller and who fights tall. And Shawn Porter, in some of his fights, does get caught rushing in. In both Julio Diaz fights, there was times when Diaz was able to tag Porter coming in. And interestingly, in the second fight early on, especially, I remember Diaz was able to catch Porter with a couple shots that kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily wobbled Porter, but they definitely got his respect and made him think twice. And he kind of backed up a little bit after getting caught with a few shots from Julio Diaz. So he's going to have to watch out when rushing in, because Kell Brook is pretty heavy-handed for a welterweight. And in fact, I think Kell Brook is probably a bit more heavy-handed than Shawn Porter is. Again, there's this misnomer, there's this false belief that Shawn Porter is some type of knockout artist. He's not. Go look at his record. Go watch his previous fights. He's not a knockout artist. The guy's only got 3 KOs or 3 stoppages in his last 10 fights. Okay, that is not the record of a knockout artist. So I think Kell Brook might be slightly more heavy-handed. As I say, he's taller. And Brook is one of those guys who doesn't like to throw punches unless he sees a clear opening and the shot is going to land. Kind of similar, a little bit similar to Canelo Alvarez. Okay, Alvarez don't waste that many punches normally. And Kell Brook is the same. He's not really a high volume guy. He throws punches at a fairly methodical pace, but most of his shots land clean when he throws them. So he's not going to be a guy who's going to be able to out hustle or outwork anyone. He works off his jab. He's got a good jab. He stands very upright. He's got very, very little upper body movement. And that's going to be a weakness, actually, against Shawn Porter, because Kell Brook tends to pull back from punches, pull straight back, stands up and pulls straight back. And if Shawn Porter can, catch him doing that, because Porter's got very quick feet, if he can catch him doing that with an overhand right or a left hook, then he might be able to hurt Kell Brook and maybe take him out if he can follow up and land enough shots. But again, with the foot speed that Porter's got, combined with a pretty good hand speed, he might be able to catch Brook totally off guard and hit him with a shot that you don't expect, bang on the chin. And those are the shots that hurt you the most. You don't necessarily have to be the most concussive puncher to hurt a guy when you catch him off guard like that. Kell Brook was hurt by Senchenko, and I know it was only briefly. He was, briefly wobbled. It wasn't a big time crisis or anything like that. It wasn't falling around the ring like Amir Khan when he's hurt. It was just a split second, and then a few moments later he knocks Senchenko out. So, yeah, I think stylistically it's an interesting matchup, with Brook hoping to dominate from the outside, Porter with his quicker feet and he's more of a dynamic fighter, Shawn Porter, because he can do different things. He can box and move around. He can come on the inside. He can, bob and weave, Mike Tyson style, and get his hooks off. So it's all going to come down to whether Kell Brook can stop Shawn Porter from coming in by catching him consistently on the way in. Because Porter likes to rush in, okay? And if Brook can crack him, especially early on, with a few solid shots and get his respect, then he might be able to establish his jab. But if he can't deal with the variety of Shawn Porter's attack, then Kell Brook's in trouble. Because if Shawn Porter is able to get on the inside, then it's a mismatch on the inside. Kell Brook cannot fight on the inside at all. Shawn Porter is very strong. He's a short guy. He's got those strong legs. And he's just going to maul Kell Brook on the inside and out-muscle him and do much better on the inside than Kell Brook will, because, as I say, Kell Brook has got no inside game whatsoever. So it's imperative for Kell Brook that he keeps the fight on the outside and manages to get Shawn Porter to fight at his pace. Kell Brook likes to fight at a very measured, methodical pace. The pace don't go up and down much in a Kell Brook fight, whereas with Shawn Porter it does. He's, as the Wire would like to say, he's episodic. His attacks are sporadic. Okay, you'll be fighting at one pace, moving around, and all of a sudden Shawn Porter will jump in and the lever starts flying and the pace goes up 200%. That's how Shawn Porter likes to fight. And Kell Brook's, like I say, pretty much the exact opposite to that. He fights at a very measured pace. Now, I've said before that I think these two are pretty evenly matched in terms of physical ability. There's some things that Porter does better. There's some things that Kell Brook does better. As I say, Brook is taller. I think Brook has the better jab. I think he throws the better straight shots than Shawn Porter does. But I think Porter's got more variety, quicker feet, better on the inside. So with two even guys like this, you know, two evenly matched guys, I think the mental aspect is going to come into it a lot. And mentally, I've said this before, I'm not too sure about Kell Brook, because he fought in the United States last year or the year before against a journeyman on the undercard of some big fight. There was hardly anyone in the arena at the time, and Kell Brook was nervous as hell. He even admitted that he was nervous. Eddie Hearn, his promoter, even admitted that Kell Brook was nervous, and he was fighting a journeyman. And there was hardly anyone in the arena, and this guy was nervous for that? And he got in the ring and he was making silly mistakes and all kinds of stuff because he was so nervous. Why? Because on that same bill, I believe it was that same bill, Nathan Cleverly also fought. Actually, it might not have been that same bill. I can't remember now, but Cleverly also fought in America anyway against a journeyman. And Cleverly wasn't nervous in the slightest. Now, I'm not saying Cleverly's a great fighter, but mentally, Cleverly was always a confident guy. He went and fought Tony Bellew in his backyard. No nerves, didn't freeze, nothing. He opted to take on Sergey Kovalev as a voluntary defense. That was a voluntary, folks. Right? And Cleverly stood right in front of Kovalev, which may have been a foolish tactic, but it just goes to show Cleverly wasn't a guy who was worried or anything like that on the big stage. Whereas Kell Brook seems to be the kind of guy who is worried, and he does let the pressure get to him. So I think there's a very, very good possibility that Kell Brook is going to freeze and that he's just going to be one step behind Shawn Porter in this fight, fighting away from home with all the pressure from the press in the UK, from the boxing community in the UK. Oh, go on, Kell. Some people are saying, go on, Kell. Other people are saying, you're going to get knocked out, Kell. All this kind of stuff. These things create confusion in a fighter's mind, especially a guy who's vulnerable to the pressure, like I believe Kell Brook is. These kind of things, mixed messages from the fans and all that kind of stuff, it creates confusion in Kell Brook's mind. He's out of his comfort zone, and I think he's going to underperform. I think he's going to freeze and possibly just won't get into the fight because he's not 100% comfortable with the situation. And I think Shawn Porter will take advantage of that. And I would say he's probably going to stop Kell Brook late or maybe win a decision. But I see a win for Shawn Porter here. Now, I have to reiterate again, in terms of their physical attributes and their physical ability, I think they're evenly matched. If the fight was in the UK, I would give Kell Brook a much better chance of winning it because of the psychological aspect. But being away from home and remembering how nervous Kell Brook was in his previous fight in the States against a nobody, I don't have much hope for Kell Brook keeping his nerves in check and fighting to the best of his ability. I don't have much hope for that. So that's my prediction for Shawn Porter versus Kell Brook. Drop your comments below. Let me know who you're picking and why. And maybe you see something different in terms of Kell Brook's demeanor. Because there's no doubt that he was nervous before that first fight in the States. If you think he won't be that nervous before this fight, if you think he's not going to freeze and that the nerves will not hinder his performance, then tell me why in the comment section below. This is Hatman, I'm out.